Hi Flosstube, I'm Lori and welcome to Once Upon a Stitch. Today is Thursday, August 21st. It's my Flosstube video number 57 and it's a hot mess today. My first video I made this morning at 10:30 and now it is 12:15 and I'm still at it. Take a deep breath and we'll get through it this time. As you may, first of all, welcome to all my new subscribers that I've had since the last video. Welcome to all the people who've been with me from the beginning and along my journey. I'm grateful that you come back and watch me and see what I have to share with you, and I love hearing from you and hearing what you're working on, especially when you tell me that you're working on the same projects I am, or it's in your wish list or things like that. So thank you. You may notice that I'm in a different place today for videotaping. Last weekend, my husband helped me rearrange my craft room so that, I can make it more easily usable. And with that, I positioned my table where I put the camera from the computer to tape me just from one side of the room to the other. And the way I angled the camera this morning, I don't know if it was because it was too early in the morning, but the light just washed out the walls. If you remember, the walls in that room is like a light blue, and it just made it white. And I was afraid that the camera would zoom in and out too many times because in the last video, a few people mentioned that my camera was clicking, and it might have to do with it readjusting and catching the sound as I videotape. So I apologize for that, but right now there's nothing I can do about it. We are looking into another laptop, but I can't say exactly when that'll happen. But for now, I'll do the best that I can with the lighting. So I'm in my dining room, and I had to open the doors to the china closet because it was reflecting the chandelier. And because there's a mirror behind me, it kind of reflects it, but the lighting is not that bad from all the other places that I've been to this morning. So let's get with it. The first thing is I want to answer some viewers' questions. And one question was, what is the color of Cameo closest to in my Jenny Bean piece? Now this piece is from Shakespeare's Peddler, Teresa Vinette. I didn't stitch on her yet this month. I'm hoping to before the end of the month. This is the piece that she was referring to. And now I mentioned this, that I put a little snippet of fabric and I write down what it is for myself, because a lot of times the tags fall off and I'm not good at remembering what fabric is what. But I remember this was a dyed for me and it was called Cameo. And the closest thing that I've come to in my stash is ivory, the Lugana ivory, even though it's a little, ivory's a little maybe yellower. But that was the closest that I came to in Cameo. I remember Teresa's, this project in particular was at a trunk show at Needleworkers, and that's what caught my eye, was the beautiful colors. And I had asked Jimmy, who does the dyeing at the shop, what color is that? And he goes, oh, that's Cameo. So I ordered it from him and he dyed it for me. So that's the answer to that question. The next question, oh, don't touch the table, sorry. The next question was, do I starch my fabric? And have I done a jelly roll quilt? I have not done a jelly roll quilt, and I'm not exactly sure how large a quilt will be from a jelly roll. If you measure, the jelly rolls are 2.5 inch strips. So you take off the 1/2 inch on each one of them for the seam of each one. So you're left with 2 inches. And if it's a 40 inch wide, then, and you have 40 or 42 pieces to a jelly roll, it could be approximately 80 by 40, depending on your stitching. And then they asked if I starch my fabric. I personally have never starched my fabric. I was taught hand quilting at a quilt store many, many years ago. My sons were in elementary school at the time. And I talked some other friends into taking this class with me. And that was the last class they took. I had gone on and took a few more classes from there, but was always hand stitching. And because I was never confident in a sewing machine, because I says I can stitch a straight line by hand, I can't do it on a sewing machine. But in time I bit the bullet and I tried. So I'm basically self-taught. I haven't taken any classes for any kind of machine stitching. What I've learned was either through trial and error, or I purchased some discs, video discs, and watched them and copied them and watched YouTube channels on it. So I am by no means the person you should be really talking to about quilts. I can help you as much as I know. I'm thrilled to share any knowledge on any subject that I have, but by no means am I an established anything. What's the saying? Something of all trades, but a master of none. That's me. So anyway, and then the third question was, I'm looking down at my notes because I've been through this video 3 times and I want to make sure I don't forget anything or misspeak. And the third question was fabric for Brenda Gervais' Merry Christmas. I will be showing that, but that was on a 28 count clay Lugana. Clay is the color of the fabric. Okay, some finishes. I had 2 FFOs of prior finishes. And the first one was a Lizzie Kate, and the pattern's called Ho Ho Ho, and it's just a flat finish. And I left a little extra room at the top for the bow, and then I have the hanger. And then the next finish, I didn't totally finish it, almost. I didn't have a large magnet that I wanted to include at the top here. This is Little House Needleworks Winter ABCs, and I changed the white lettering to I think it was broccoli, but I didn't write it down. But it's a green, and it could be the green that was in Mittens, whatever green that was at the time. So that's my finish, and then I'm gonna get some sprigs like Priscilla does, and maybe glue some on and put a magnet up top that I can switch out, because I also have autumn ABCs and it fits in here. Actually, autumn, this is practically corner to corner. Autumn is a little bit smaller, and I don't remember if it's just because I backed it different or I did it on a different count fabric. It had to be Ada because 28 count is the highest I go on even weaves. I haven't done anything else yet. Okay, so what have I been stitching? I'll go first show you what I finished in my stitching. So the first one was Blackbird Design Easter Parade, and put this behind it, and that's it. This is on a 25 count cream Lugana. Yep, 25 count cream Lugana. So I'll have it ready for next Easter. I'm ahead of the game. So I was happy to finish that. The next finish that I have was on Brenda Gervais' Ho Ho Ho. Actually, it's called Merry Christmas. I call it Ho Ho Ho. And it's on the color clay. So that's my second finish in this group. See, I'm trying to finish these so that I can have my new starts in January. The next one was thanks to Tina and Ashley for the Love of Stitches. They shared their pattern with me, and I had mentioned that I didn't have much patriotic, so they shared this Little House Needleworks Brave Hearts. And I stitched it on a 28 count Lugana in Wedgwood. And here's my finish. So you can see the white a little bit better in here with the word white, the sheep. And I'm hoping to get that into a frame of some sort. And then my last finish is, and where did I put, oh, right here. The Long and Winding Road by Blackbird Designs. And here is my finish. Remember, I'm going to finish it on a cake round. And it fits perfectly on a 10-inch, and I stitched this on a 25 count fabric, so it's larger than what it was called to be stitched on. Let's see what it calls for. 36 count, so yeah, a lot larger. But I'm happy with it. It called for Lazy Daisy stitches. They're not the best, but they're done. And the year 1970 is when the Long and Winding Road was released by the Beatles. So I left that date in there. And I'm very happy with it. So in time I'll get that finished. Okay, those were my finishes. Now my whips. I had two new starts. The beginning, actually the end of July, I would say January. The end of July and the beginning of August was supposed to be the New Jersey retreat. So we decided that we were going to have a new start, because we would have done it at the retreat, maybe start something new. So we decided to basically select a Blackbird pattern and do it. So I chose Garden Friends sewing bag, but I'm not making it into a sewing bag. I think I might just make it into a mat. And it's the Garden Friends, and it's hollyhocks, it says on the bottom. I'm not sure I'm going to put the word in. I haven't decided. So, and this is how far I've gotten on. This is a 16 count Ada, and I'm just looking for and it's called Heartland. And I love it's a big piece of fabric. I was going to use it for something else, but I decided that I'm going to do a few Blackbird from their books, and I wanted to keep it in the same fabric. Let's see. There's some modeling. It's a light tan maybe, and that's how far I've gotten on that one. Really pretty. I think it's so delicate. That's why I don't want to make it a bag, because I won't use a bag. So, but a mat I can just have lying there in a bowl with some pillows maybe. Then I had a new start. Again, commemorating the Flosstube retreat and the person in charge of it, and that was Arlene Cohen, Works by ABC. I selected a block from 6 pages from 1603, and I selected this one. I believe she said they were pairs. And I wanted to do it in red, in a variegated red, but I wanted to try something different. I had purchased these threads from Amazon, and they're the sulky threads. I was looking prior to this video to see if there was a specific number of it, but it wasn't. I just googled sulky threads, and they were packs of 6, and I believe they were like $9.95, $10. So there was no, I bought 3 of them, 3 different shade packs, but there was no variegated red in it. So I decided that I had green. So I was going to do green. And it's a variegated thread, and you can see it there. And I stitched this on an 18 count Ada with 1 thread. And I love the coverage of it, and I love the piece. So I have 2 more this I put here so that I know the orientation of which I am stitching, because it's easy to go like that or like that. I guess upside down it doesn't make a difference. They say the stitches fall the same way, but if you did it this way, the stitches wouldn't. But I put that there for myself so that I know the orientation of how to hold it the next time I pick it up. But it looks a lot greener in person, but it shows the variation, so I'm very happy with it. I can't wait to finish it. So you can either, a person can either stitch the whole piece, stitch them individually, stitch them together but without the border. The border is a very detailed border. So I was very happy to start that one. Okay, next work in progress was, which I hadn't picked up in a long while. I keep a journal. It's not a fancy journal by no means. It's a little spiral notebook basically, and I write down the dates that I work on a project. For instance, if I started it in May for Mania, I'll put the 2 days in that month that I worked on it, and basically what I stitched on it. I don't know why I do these things, but I do it. I like the process of writing, and I think that's the reason I do it. So I do that, and I keep track. And so I hadn't picked this up in a while, and that's Lila's Studio Halloween Quaker, and I hadn't gotten very far on it either, and I'm not going to get it done by this Halloween by no means. The fabric is one dyed by needleworkers. I had just told them what piece I was working on, and they just said, "Oh, I know what to dye it," and I was like, okay. So, and they did a great job. And on the tag, it actually said Halloween Quaker fabric. So they know the fabric that it's called, that they call for, that they do it in. And this is what I bought. It has some purple and some green, and that's it. That's a pretty good rendition of it. And what I got accomplished this time is this motif under the hat. Okay, let's hold it up so you can see it. That motif under the hat, the start of the moon, the start of the broom. There were some 2-day rotations that I got less stitching in than normal, and it's just because of life happenings. I'll tell you a little bit about that after I go through everything. The next piece I worked on was Abby Rose Sweet Summer. And this is how far I did. I finished the flower, and I did the flower, the urn, some of the grass, and I did this one. This was supposed to be done in pewter, but I stitched it on, I think it was Spring Showers? Summer Showers by Gast. That's the color. And I thought it would show up better, and I like it, so that's why I did that. So the house would be next. Getting confused. I try to make it easier this time around since I've done it twice already, but there's still issues. The next one that I put progress in is Patrick Henry, and I was able to finally finish that block. It took me more, I think this was the longest one that I've taken so far on, but I finally finished it, and this is the piece and the center bottom block, and 1 block to go. I will not be doing the border. I'm just going to frame it as such. The border is beautiful. I've seen it, a lot of people stitched it with the border, but no, I'm done. Okay, the next one is Templar Prophecy by Long Dog Sampler. That's the pattern. And I was working across from here to here. I finally finished page 5, and I just got a tiny bit started back at 6 at the other end. So here's my progress on Long Dog. So I finished this side, this last page, and I just had a small start on page 6. And it basically covers the whole camera. I could see through. I don't know if you could see through to me on the other side. So, and finally I worked on Stacy Nash's Christmas at Hollyberry Farm. So, Early Americans, Stacy Nash, and Geranium of Nora Corbett are the last 3 in what I chose as my Stitch 10 to get done this year. I don't know if I'm going to get it there. I should finish Early Americans. I'm hoping to finish this one, but I can't. I don't know if I have all the beads for the Nora Corbett one, nor I know if I'm going to get to finish it, but we'll see. So this is where I am on, let me move back. I'm holding that behind it, maybe I don't have to. On Stacy Nash's Christmas at Hollyberry Farm. And what I got accomplished this time was I finished the flowers in the urn on this side, all these white flowers here. I did the dog, the lamppost, I finished the gate and the fence, the bottom. Those 2 motifs in the border. I did the second motif and I was exhausted that night, I remember. Couldn't keep my eyes open, but I wanted to finish it. When I went to put the berries in, to line it up to make sure I was on target, it wasn't on target. I counted correct number of stitches. I went to match both ways. Most of it all matched, or to me it all matched, but I couldn't understand why it wasn't working out. I said, I'm going to leave it. What's another stitch or 2 away from the berries? I slept on it. I didn't like it. I couldn't sleep. I got up, took the whole thing out, and I started restitching it, but I started at this end this time and went that way. And for some reason, it worked. The only thing, if I had to guess what I did wrong, was instead of doing 2 over 2, which I was doing throughout, is I might have done 2 over 1 in two places because it was 2 stitches off. But you know what? Whatever I did it right the second time. So then after that, I didn't want to go any further on the bottom border. I wanted to come down the side. So what I did was these 2 branches and part of the tree. And that's all I got done this time. So will I finish this? I'm hoping I could. 2 days, September, October, November, December. 8 days. It all depends on the days that I have selected to stitch on it, what's going on. That's what I try to plan. I try to plan ahead of time. For instance, I'm having company this Saturday. So I don't want to pick a piece that is a large piece that I'm going to get very little done on it. So I'd rather get a smaller piece and get whatever I get accomplished on it, because a small piece you can make up time or you can still finish it. But a large piece, you actually lose time on it. Okay, I think that was the last of it. Yes, those are my whips. So, what have I purchased since the last time we were together? Well, just to speak a little bit about quilts, and I had said that I started hand quilting. This is the very first piece that I did, and it was a pillow because I went to the library. Sorry if I'm leaning on the table. I went to the library to take this class. Well, it was a free class, and I expected her though to say, well, you need this or you need that. And basically she said, bring in whatever you want to make and I'll show you how to do it. So I picked a pillow just to start with, and it's just an envelope style pillow, and this was the very first piece. So you can tell by the colors of it that this was in the 80s. And it was all hand pieced, hand quilted. But it was something that I started, and then I started taking some classes at a quilt store, but it was by hand. And by the time I was ready to do by machine, there were no quilt stores around here to do that. So I kind of am self-taught. I'm by no means close to being advanced, but I give it a shot. It's for me, it's for my immediate family mostly, and I do the best that I can. So this was a piece that I had seen on Create TV, and it's on Quilting Arts was the name of the program. I think it's still on. I don't watch it now because for the most part I'm sleeping when it's on. I used to watch it before I went to work. That's when I would have my coffee and breakfast, and I would watch 25 minutes of this show. That was my downtime in the morning. This was before I was even cross-stitching, and I was still working. But I would learn techniques on that, and then I would try it. So I tried this. This was free motion quilting, and you can see it's like I did it in black, the flower, and then I echo stitched it. So that's supposedly the front, and that's the back. So just something to try. There's no rules in trying. And this was another one that this was using paints. I used a paint stick. This, I believe, is a eucalyptus leaf, and so I stitched it first, and then the paint was at the very end, and then I used the binding to bring out the color of the paint. And this is the back, where you can see the quilting a little bit better. And it was just practice pieces, and that I made little quilts out of, and I put them around the house. So with that being said, Kathy to Dye House showed me some fabric that she bought from this Shabby Fabrics, it's called. So I went on there and I purchased some jelly rolls, and I never made a jelly roll quilt. There's tutorials on YouTube that I've watched, and I think her name is Melanie Han, H-A-N. She has one out, and hers is basically just sewing them strip by strip straight down. It's not the race that as you're stitching them all together, then you bring the last one to the top and you stitch that all together. I don't think I'm going to do that one. I'm just going to stitch them together because I like the way hers looked. So I bought 2 jelly rolls. This is Maywood Studios, and this is in the colorway Prose, P-R-O-S-E. And basically they're reds, pinks, and greens, like your garden. And I just thought that was so feminine. That's how I describe these. I have my own way of describing fabrics, probably totally wrong, but. And then I chose Rhapsody in Reds by Kay England. And underneath it says 40 karat crystals, but it's called Rhapsody in Reds. And this reminded me of France, French motifs. I don't know, but that's why I selected it. I could be wrong, but I loved it. And it doesn't look like a jelly roll, but there's a seam that they're just laying together, and this is how this one was packaged. So it'll be interesting to see how I'm doing on that one. And then I started quilting a quilt top that I made years ago before my older son started college. And the idea was to do the center star and then put 9 patches all around it. Now, I told you I didn't take any classes, so it wasn't working out. No matter what border I put around the star and to make it work, it was getting out of hand. So what I decided to do was just make the star, which I haven't finished either, into somewhat of a wall hanging. And the rest of the quilt was a quilt I pieced together as 9 patch, and I put a few borders on it, and then I put it in the drawer. So I says, before I start these jelly rolls, I got to finish at least that one. I have other ones in the drawer too. So I wanted to finish that one. So I started quilting it. And it's larger than a baby quilt, but I don't think it's the size of a twin. But as you're stitching, holding all this, it pulls on your shoulders. So that was the idea of rearranging my fabric, my craft room, because I was trying to figure out how I could prop up the fabric in different ways to help ease the pull of it. So that's why I couldn't film in my craft room. Now, I don't know if I told you why I'm in here this morning. I started filming in my craft room, but the way the angles are, it was washing the walls out to white and it wasn't showing well. So that's why I'm in here. And I'm sorry if I'm repeating myself. It's just that I've taped this so many times that I don't know what I've said and what I haven't. So bear with me, please. Okay, back to cross stitching. I picked up the Little House Needleworks post office. My husband worked as a letter carrier for over 30 years, and it's special to me. I know they're going through some issues, but it helped put a roof over our heads, so I'm very grateful to that. Then the next one, I called up the Inspired Needle in Chicago, and from watching their videos, I decided to see if they had some patterns in. And the first one they had was Liberty's Welcome by Plum Street. And I love this pattern. I mean, I've seen people, a lot of people working on this, and I've loved it from the beginning, but I never found it in the store. So I said, let me call up the Inspired Needle and see if they have, there were 3 patterns I was looking for. They had 2 of the 3, so I took them. So this is one of them. Will I start it in January with the other ones that I'm starting? I don't know. I need a larger piece of fabric. A fat 8 is not enough for this. So, and I don't know if I'm going to do it. I have to read the pattern for a change. A lot of times I just start in and I don't know what I'm getting into. And since this is such a large pattern, I don't know if there's any 1/1 in here. I have to look at that first before I decide if I'm going to do it on 16 count or 28 count. I would like to do it on 16 count only because to make it a little bit smaller than a 28 count. But I don't want to do 18 count. Sometimes I struggle with 2 threads in there. Then the next one I bought was the Sampler Company. And the reason I chose the Sampler Company is we do a Zoom meeting every week with a bunch of lovely ladies that I love to death. And one of the questions was, if you had to leave your house and could only take one stitching project with you, whether it be finished or unfinished, I think it was, which would you take? So the last time I videotaped it, I had to walk around the room and get it off the wall, but now I have it here, so I want to show it to you. And this was the Sampler Company Plymouth Sampler, and I just love this pattern. I don't know why I loved it more than any other one, but I do. And it's a lot of like full coverage areas. I mean, even though this section is sparse, but a lot of it was full color, but blocks of color. And that's what I enjoy stitching. I've come to that conclusion. Like, I didn't mind filling in where the flowers are behind the flowers or the alphabet. I just enjoyed this piece so much. So I said to myself, if you enjoy that piece, maybe you should try another one from them. And I believe the stores have to order straight from the Sampler Company, which is in England. And I don't know how long the process would be if I ordered it and how to wait. So when I called up the Inspired Needle, they had it. And the one I bought was Plant Wisdom. And here's a picture of it. Getting closer. And I just thought it was so pretty. And there were 2 others that I wanted. I believe one was called the New England Sampler. It's a row of houses at the top, and then I think on the bottom section was like the water with the ships. That one. And the red house. They didn't have the red house either. But those are 2 others that I would like to stitch someday. So, and that is all I have to share with you. But if you stuck with me up to now, surprise, we're going to do a giveaway. Should I do my life updates first? Yeah, I'll make you wait a little bit longer. Life updates. When I was saying some days I stitch more than others, well, on this particular day, 2 days, We had hosted Michael, Rebecca, Caleb, and their dog Ozzy, because the storm Isaias went through here and they lost power. And it was one of those hot nights, and we said they were going to stay home. I said, come on over. We have a bedroom. We have a crib for Caleb. The air conditioner is working here. Come on over. So they came. So that was lots of fun, having Caleb, at night, and bath time and all that. So it was fun. So that was one of the not too much stitching time. Then we had Caleb's christening. That was in church. We were the only group there. He was the only one christened, so it was just immediate family. I think we were 13. And then afterwards, everybody came to here, and we had a gathering to eat and cake and well wishes. And then yesterday, Caleb turned 11 months old. How time flies. And here's a picture of my little guy, my grandson. And we were walking in the park. He loves putting his foot up on the top. Try to get the glare out of there for you. So he's 11 months. He is not walking yet, but he's crawling. And the strength that this child has, sometimes when I'm feeding him, if he doesn't have something to feed himself with, he grabs for the spoon. And it's a struggle to get it out without getting food all over. So I'm enjoying him. He's growing up very quickly. We get to babysit him 2 to 3 days a week. And it varies, but that's it. Okay, giveaway time. The first one is thanks to Tina and Ashley for Love of Stitches. They share this pattern with me, so I'd like to share it with you. And that's Little House Needleworks Brave Hearts. Now, the question that I'd like you to answer is, what's your favorite store to buy cross stitch? Is it an online store? Is it your local LNS? And if it's your local LNS, tell me what's the name. I basically shop at Needleworkers Delight in Metuchen, New Jersey, and 123 Stitch. But I gave the Inspired Needle a chance as well. And I've got to tell you, I called Saturday. It came, what's today? It came yesterday, Wednesday. They told me I'm putting it right in the mail, and they did. And I got it yesterday. So I was very happy. So the question is, where do you like to buy your stitchy stuff from? And if you don't answer the question and you just tell me what you want to win, I'm not going to include you in the giveaway. You have to answer your favorite stitching place to buy stuff. Okay, so the first one is Brave Hearts, and you can just use the word hearts. The second one that I'm going to give is Brenda Gervais, Merry Christmas. And trying to do one word so it's easier for you. Santa? Do you want to do Santa? Okay, Santa's good. And the third one is going to be a Lizzie Kate that I stitched that someone shared with me. And that's Happy Happy Easter. A Lizzie Kate. And this is just a happy. You're happy. I'm having a hot flash. So I'm not too happy. Sorry, too much information. Alrighty, the rules. I will have anybody interested to apply by August 31st, and at the next video that I do, hopefully the beginning of September, I will let you know who the random number generated picked for those 3 patterns, and so that I can get it to the mail to you. Please be 18 years or older to enter. Do not say giveaway. Just say the words. I forgot the words. Happy Santa said? Okay, whatever you want to call it. Brave Hearts is the pattern. I should be able to figure it out. Sorry. Here we go. So that's about it. I hope you enjoy this hot mess. Hopefully I will have the lighting situation adjusted for my next video. And I hope you enjoyed yourself with what I've had to share today. And you come back. And until next time, guys, stay healthy, stay safe, happy stitching, and be nice, because it'll come back to you. Bye, guys.